BBC is apologizing to President Trump for a misleading edit of his January 6th speech in a documentary. But the dispute over that edit may now move toward a legal battle. The president has threatened a $1 billion lawsuit, saying that the edit caused serious damage unless the film is fully retracted and that he is compensated. The BBC says the documentary is off the air and it will not pay any compensation. The fallout has already shaken the network, with two executives stepping down. That happened earlier this week. Joining us now, Tyler O'Neill, senior editor at the Daily Signal. Thank you so much for joining us. How big of a deal is this for the BBC to publicly apologize to a U.S. president?
Yeah, I think this sets a very strong precedent. I mean, what we see, President Trump has demanded more than this, but at the same time, he has gotten a historic apology from the BBC for splicing these two things together. Now, the BBC is claiming that it was not the BBC themselves who made the decision to splice together the quotes that gave the impression of President Trump encouraging his supporters to be violent and to attack the Capitol. But, you know, they're still taking some responsibility. They're still apologizing. We still had these resignations. It remains to be seen if President Trump is going to consider this apology enough. As you said, he's demanded more than an apology. He has also been successful in suing other media companies, mostly in the United States, for defamation when they have made claims that have twisted his words and presented him in very negative lights.
What are you hearing, Tyler? Might there be more resignations before this is all said and done?
I'm not certain we would expect more resignations, but I do think what we're going to hear, we're next hearing probably from the president himself, if he is going to accept this apology or if he is going to consider legal action. When it comes to legal action, he's going to face a few hurdles. I believe the statute of limitations for filing a defamation lawsuit in UK law has just passed on this particular issue, but he might be able to sue in U.S. courts.
What does this situation say about the pressure newsrooms face when covering political people?
Yeah, I think that's a really important question. Newsrooms have to be fair and accurate in presenting what political figures like President Trump actually say. And so in this instance, you had a very clear situation where quotes were spliced out of context. If you listen to Trump's entire speech, you know, he said that it's perfect. I'm not certain about that. But I do know that he said repeatedly that he wanted his supporters to be peaceful in their protest. And he did not call for them to fight like hell in attacking the Capitol in the way that his words were spliced to suggest in this video recording.
And due to that splicing, how big of a fracture does this cause in the trust for the BBC?
I think it's going to be a very negative scandal for the BBC. We've seen the BBC under fire for the way that they presented Brexit and suggested that it was, a Russian, essentially a Russian influence campaign in the past. And we've seen many conservative MPs taking stands against the BBC in the past. I think this is going to lead to more opposition to the BBC. And I also think, one of the interesting things to come out of this is seeing that U.S. taxpayer dollars actually ended up funding the BBC to some extent indirectly through USAID. I think that is something that conservatives in the United States are going to have serious concerns about, given this splicing scandal.
Interesting. Tyler O'Neill, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.